time to say a long, slow goodbye to the United States penny. Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English, episode number 821. Here at Plain English, we help you upgrade your English with stories about current events and trending topics. And sometimes those topics are about the English-speaking world. Today is one of those days. A couple years ago, we did an episode about the lowest value American coin, the penny. That was episode number 655. And in that episode, we talked about all the reasons why it just didn't make sense to continue to mint a 1-cent coin. And just last month, the United States Treasury bowed to reality and minted its last penny. Now, before we get started, I'll give you a couple of words to know. First, a mint can be a government agency that prints banknotes and makes coins, and a mint can also be the facility, the place where that happens. So there is the United States Mint, the government agency, and there is the Philadelphia Mint, the factory where the last penny was made. In the making of money, you can say that you print a bill, but you strike a coin. When you strike a coin, you take the blanks from a factory and imprint them so that they become official money. So those are some words that you'll hear on today's episode. For the full transcript, you can visit plainenglish.com/821. At that location, you can also find translations of keywords and phrases into 9 languages. There's also a quiz, some practice exercises, and more, all for you at plainenglish.com/821. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. It's the end of a long tradition. The United States has made its last penny. The United States Mint is the government agency responsible for making the country's currency, printing the bills, and striking the coins. And at a ceremony on November 12th, 2025, the Mint's production facility in Philadelphia struck its last penny. It came 232 years after the first penny was produced, also at the Philadelphia Mint. The decision had been a long time coming. For decades, economists pointed out that the penny had outlived its usefulness. America's 1-cent coin cost more than a cent to produce. Due to rising costs, a single penny cost around 4 cents to make in 2025. The U.S. had been making fewer and fewer pennies each year because people weren't using them as much. And it's not like the penny plays an important role in daily life. You can't buy anything with a penny, or even 5 or 10 pennies anymore. Still, few politicians wanted to take the risk of phasing out the penny entirely. But in February 2025, Donald Trump announced on social media that he would direct the government to stop making pennies. The official decision came in May, when the United States Treasury announced that it had placed its final order for penny blanks. Blanks are plain metal discs made by private companies that are later struck into finished coins. The last large batch was struck earlier this year, and in June, the government, one last time, delivered shiny new pennies to the nation's banks. But then, the production lines that had made America's 1-cent coins were reallocated to other coins like quarters. In November, government officials presided over one last ceremonial batch. The coins made on this last day were identical to the standard pennies produced in 2025, with former President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Union Shield design on the back. But these pennies were not released into circulation. The ceremonial strikes were retained by the mint and added to its historical collection. The coin that had once been the most common piece of American currency was now a museum piece. A museum piece, but not only a museum piece, because while the government has just made its last penny, the 1-cent coin will continue to be legal tender, official money, indefinitely. In its history, the United States has never demonetized a coin, so all coins ever made, of any denomination, are still valid for payment. So that means America's familiar copper-plated pennies will still circulate as legal money for a while, but gradually, many pennies will fall out of circulation, lost behind couch cushions, or discarded. As the number of pennies in circulation declines, merchants may soon have to round cash prices to the nearest 5 cents or give inexact change. Banks will have to adapt too. Private banks play an important role in circulating currency. They help move the coins and bills around, so the currency is available where it's most needed. Retailers rely on local bank branches to accept cash deposits and to provide the smaller denominations they need to make change. But banks will no longer get new deliveries of pennies, so they'll have to figure out how to circulate the limited number of pennies out there. Still, the experience of other countries shows that most consumers won't miss the 1-cent coin. When Canada, in 2013, and Australia, in 1992, removed their lowest value coins, shoppers quickly adapted. The impact of rounding up and down at the register is generally a wash for consumers anyway. A couple other penny-related facts for you. The penny is the oldest coin still in circulation in the United States. There have been many, many designs over the years, and some people collect pennies. As a kid, I had a collector's book where I could store different versions of the pennies I had found. America once had a half penny. It was a coin worth 1/2 of 1 cent. It was produced from 1793 to 1857. And like every other American coin ever produced, you can still spend the half penny if you can get your hands on one. Although I wouldn't recommend it, a half penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars as a collector's item today. You can't buy anything with a penny anymore, but there was once something called penny candy. This was loose candy, tiny little pieces in a small vending machine. You could put a penny in, turn the dial, and get a handful of penny candy out of the machine. The penny is in a number of English expressions and sayings. A penny saved is a penny earned is a famous saying attributed to Benjamin Franklin, who designed the first 1-cent coin. If you want to know what someone is thinking, you can say, penny for your thoughts. If something costs a lot of money, you can say it costs a pretty penny. And if something or someone keeps showing up in your life, even when you don't want it to, you can say that thing or that person is like a bad penny. And that is all for us here at Plain English on this Thursday, December 4th, 2025. This was episode number 821. So the full transcript, translations, exercises, and more are at plainenglish.com/821. We'll be back on Monday with a beautiful new topic. See you then. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. The version you listened to goes a little slower than native speed to help you understand better. But if you can easily understand this podcast, then you might benefit from the fast version of our stories and expressions. You see, every week we create 2 separate versions of the audio. There's the slow version you just heard, and there's the full speed version. The full speed version sounds just as if I were talking to a native English speaker. Many Plain English listeners use both the fast and slow audio to improve their listening. And before you ask, no, there's no artificial intelligence and no computer manipulation of the audio. I personally record 2 separate versions of all our lessons so you can hear the most authentic possible English at the speed that's right for you. So if you're ready to take the next step with your listening, go to plainenglish.com and sign up for a free 14-day trial. As soon as you do that, you'll unlock the fast version of our episodes. You can even listen on a podcast app. Go to plainenglish.com and sign up for a free trial today.